Time for another A-plus mock draft here in the Sportsocracy. Haven't talked about the Philadelphia Eagles yet. 2 picks in the first round. This team went to the Super Bowl last year. Add a couple of playmakers, and maybe you're for sure a Super Bowl champion this time around, especially if things go your way, which is what the A-plus mock drafts are all about, Flostradamus.
Absolutely. And if you want to know what an A-plus mock draft looks like, because there's some of you that are not going to like this pick because you keep telling me, we don't invest in that position. Yeah, I get it. When James Palmer of NFL Network goes on a draft show and says multiple teams he's talked to in the NFC do not want to see the Eagles add this guy because they already think their offense is terrifying enough, yeah, that's probably who the pick is. And that's exactly where we're at right here.
At number 10 overall in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles could select Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas.
This is Saquon Barkley. I mean, that's how good this kid can be. I've heard some teams like Jahmyr Gibbs better. Yeah, not anyone I've talked to. And if they do, they're on recreational drugs, and you shouldn't listen to anything they say. And that's not a shot at Jahmyr Gibbs. Bijan Robinson is my best player in this draft class. He's the safest player in the class. He just plays a position that is not your longevity is not really there. You know this kid's got 8-9 years in the league. That's your best case scenario. Really good in the pass game, really good running back. I really don't have a knock on him. He's too fun to watch.
It's a hell of a criticism.
Well, I mean, and you put him behind the best offensive line in the NFL, what do you think this kid's going to be?
Right.
I'll put it this way. I do different shows over the course of the lead up to the draft. Somebody asked me a question the other day. If Bijan Robinson wound up with the Atlanta Falcons, which is a rumor right now that they're hot on him at 8, where would he fall as a fantasy running back next year? My answer was back into the first round, beginning of the second. They then conversely asked me, because I said Philadelphia was his floor, there's only 2 spots he's going to go in this entire class.
Mm-hmm.
8 at Atlanta, 10 to Philadelphia. If he went to Philadelphia, where would I have him? What do you think? What do you think my answer was?
Number 1.
2.
2.
I had him at 2. Overall. That's how good he can be in Philadelphia immediately. And you add that to an offense that's already hyper dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
What more do you want? And you have this pick because you traded down to let the New Orleans Saints take Trevor Penning. That's what I mean when I say it's house money. Because you're playing with a pick that you shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Because the trade down didn't make any sense at all. So you can take a shot. This roster's already good, and you kept it in really good tact.
Yes, they did. At the 30th pick overall, we need an edge rusher in Philadelphia. Everybody wants one. But do you get good value with Myles Murphy here?
With Philadelphia, do. I have said I think KJ Henry's going to be a better prospect in the NFL than Myles Murphy. It's because I think somebody's going to overdraft him. If he falls to 30 here with Philadelphia, okay, yeah, because now I can be really patient with him. Because now he's my third guy. I can just tell him, see ball, get ball. He can get used to the speed of the NFL, and he still has the same highlight that he did with Clemson. The talent around him never allowed anybody to double team him. So the fact that he's got long arms and he's hyper athletic allowed him to get to quarterbacks. I'm not sure the technique is refined enough right now, but he goes to Philadelphia. I can wait for that, and he'll still be impactful immediately.
Second round, number 62 overall, Gervon Dexter, defensive tackle out of Florida.
Him and Jordan Davis on the same defensive line.
That's scary.
And here's why I love Gervon Dexter here. First of all, they had him in on a top 30 visit, so I know they like him. If he learns from Fletcher Cox, that could be terrifying because he really needs to be rounded out. His kid's not played a ton of football. He only played 3 years at Florida. He only played 2 years in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So the first snap he takes in the NFL will be his 6th year of football in his life. And he was a basketball player. He's ridiculously athletic for his size. There's so much upside to this kid that it is intoxicating. And I'm going to say the same thing about him that I said about Myles Murphy. If you put him behind the guys he's going to be behind, and you only ask him to come in and play 25, 35 snaps early, a year from now, when Fletcher Cox walks away, or 2 years, or whenever that is, this is his ready-made replacement. I do not think this kid is limited to being a nose tackle. I keep hearing that. He could do that. I think that is more of a development, and it's going to take longer. I think he can play inside of a 4-man front. I think he can play on the outside of a 3-man front. The sky's the limit with this kid, but it's a lot of projection because you just haven't seen that much from him.
All right, the second pick on day 2 at number 94 in the third round.
I just so happened to we have something in common of we went to the same academic institution.
Bryce Ford Wheaton, wide receiver, West Virginia.
Dog. Ran a 4.38 at 6'4", 220 pounds. You know what his biggest problem is? He went to a school that can't recruit quarterbacks to save their fucking lives. Sorry, that's me as a fan. I get angry sometimes. Look, the production was never there because the offense was never all that good. He was always the best receiver on this team. And when it was good, it was good. It was just inconsistent. Mm-hmm. This kid was brought in for Dana Holgerson, and he wound up with Neil Brown. That would be like going to prom with Jessica Alba and winding up with Evan Longoria. Well, that didn't go quite the way I wanted it to.
Nope.
There is so much potential in this kid. He attacks the ball, really high points everything, and you look at the fact that he would be the 4 with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and he's going to see a ton of single coverage. You put a safety on this kid, he'll annihilate him. Straight up, he will annihilate them.
Also, a little tip of the cap there to Flostradamus for the baseball reference.
Eva Longoria was the first one I thought of, and I pushed it down the road.
Philadelphia Eagles have 2 picks in day 1, 2 picks in day 2. We got 2 picks on day 3 as well, but you're going to have to wait all the way to the end of the 7th round. 219 overall, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, quarterback out of UCLA.
If I had to bet on a day 3 prospect and the team they wind up with, it would be Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Because I think they view him as an ideal long-term backup to Jalen Hurts. There is this myth that a lot of teams are just salivating over the prospect of him as a starter. Mm-hmm. No, they're not. Because he is not a great thrower of the football. And I've pretty much seen what he's going to be. Do you know how many years this kid started in college?
5.
I've seen it all. And he played in a gimmicky-ass offense at UCLA. Philadelphia fans, you are completely versed in the offense that I'm talking about with Chip Kelly. He's got a nice spiral. He's inaccurate as hell. His throwing motion is elongated. What does that sound like? Mm-hmm. That sounds like exactly the same thing I said about Jalen Hurts. And they view him as a nice developmental piece where they would do the exact same thing. Yeah. You don't even come near a field for a year. This is not he's going to eventually take over for Jalen Hurts. NFL teams tell me routinely one of the biggest mistakes that teams make is shoehorning 2 quarterbacks that play completely different on the same roster. If you get the chance to have a long-term backup that plays the exact same brand of football as your starter, there is a great merit to that. Watch Philadelphia find a way to get this kid.
And at 248, last pick of the draft for the Eagles, Khalef Halasi. Am I saying that right?
Yes. There are a lot of teams that like this kid. He started at Oregon, didn't really do much of anything, and then transferred to Western Kentucky. Look, there's some good tape on him. There was something odd that happened when he left Oregon. I'm not sure what it is, and nobody will really tell me. There are flashes with this kid, and there seem to be a lot of teams that wanted him in the building to have a chat and see where his football IQ was, maybe answer for some things that are talked about behind closed doors. He's hyper raw. I mean, he played a decent amount of snaps at Western Kentucky, but I don't know if you watched one of their games recently. They turned into a whole shitload of track meets. Some people think he will end up playing safety in the league. He's pretty good in man press right now. I just think you're going to have to round him off to really teach him to play zone. He's another one that goes in mothballs. You plan on using him on special teams early because he's a pretty long kid that ran a 4.5 So special teams contributor to begin with, and you hope you hit on a lottery ticket late with a guy that you're not really going to need anything from for 2 or 3 years.
Philadelphia Eagles A+ mock draft. It all begins with the running back. Look, I know you got Rashad Penny, and you have the usual cast of backups.
I mean, and for 6 games, he'll be awesome until he breaks, because that's what he does.
I was going to say, you cannot
Rashad
deny.
Penny, if you know how when you search their guys' names on Pro Football Reference, they have their nickname? I have been actively trying to get McDonald's toy on Rashad Penny for 3 years. It's really fun, and it's broke. Oh, shit! Yeah, so you need a dog. And I'm telling you, when teams are actively telling people, please, God, don't let him end up with team blank, probably means it's a real good idea.
Yep. Philadelphia Eagles A+ mock draft in the books.
If you like these picks, if you hate these picks, if you just want to say I look like Luke Combs' long-lost brother, feel free to do that in the YouTube comments. I answer as many of those as I can. We're getting right up on the draft, and I will do all of that as we head into the 2023 NFL Draft, where we will be live for every pick, and my final first-round mock draft will be available right before the draft starts, about 4 o'clock on Thursday. It'll be right here on the channel, and then we'll be live at 7:30 for every pick of the 2023 draft season.
Do us a favor, hit that thumbs up video, like it, share it out with your friends as well. Subscribe to the channel so you can join us for each and every pick of the NFL Draft live, and of course every time we are live here in the Ingles studio. We'll see you Thursday night.